Today I'm going to be talking all about the different suppliers I use for my soap and candle business and the pros and cons of each one. So if you're interested in hearing more about that, keep watching. Hi there, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, I'm Steph. My company is BUSHY and I make soap, candles, bath salts, shower steamers, lip balms, all kinds of good stuff. I use this channel to talk a lot about the behind the scenes of my business, whether you yourself are a business owner who's interested in this kind of stuff, or if you just like hearing more about what it's like to run a handmade goods business, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the major suppliers that I use for my products, both for ingredients and for packaging and that kind of stuff, and just what I think the pros and cons are of each one. I felt like when I was starting my business, finding information on which suppliers to use was one of the most time-consuming things. And it's tough because you go on someone's website and it might look a certain way, or you might get an impression of what the quality is like or their brand is like, but it's really the sort of thing where you usually have to order samples and test stuff out, and it's just really time consuming. So if I can at all help with some of that by doing a video like this, then that would be great. So that's why I wanted to talk a little bit more about this stuff. And so I'm just going to dive in and talk about my suppliers in no particular order. I don't feel like there's one supplier that I use more than the others. It's really is like a mix of all of these. So I'm just going in the order I thought of them. The first one I'll talk about is Makesy. It used to be the Wooden Wick Company. I think, yes, the Wooden Wick Company. It's weird now. They've had Makesy for long enough that I sort of forget it used to be that. Now it's Makesy, and they have everything from fragrances to ingredients to packaging. They have a wide range of products, and it covers candles, soap, bath salts, bath bombs, all that kind of stuff, lip balm. They continue to expand their product offerings. So they just launched care for babies. So it was very gentle soaps and foam pumps so that you could make body wash for babies, foams, whatever. That was sort of their latest launch, but they're always sort of coming out with new stuff. They also just recently launched in-depth perfume where you can buy accords or more individualized notes of fragrances instead of the pre-made fragrance oils that are mixed for you. So they continue to grow their offerings, which is great. I think they're one of the leaders in this industry, especially because I feel like their educational content and their social media content is just really top notch. And so I love them, not for just honestly just inspiration. I think it's great to see what they're launching and then consider how could I work this into my business. They do have a lot of pre-made mixes for things, so you can buy a base for lip balm where it's all the ingredients mixed together and you're basically just adding flavoring. So if you're someone who's very nervous about creating your own formulations, they could be a really great option for you because like I said, they have a lot of bases. I think they have facial cleanser bases. They do have soap bases, cold processed soap bases. I'm pretty sure. I've not used them. That's also a newer offering of theirs. So I haven't really explored much of what they do with cold processed soap, but I know that they have a lot of stuff like that. So they could be a really great go-to if you are really early on and formulation is something that makes you nervous. You just want to add a product to get things sort of get the ball rolling. They also have a lot of discovery kits or DIY kits, which is actually something I did when I was really, really early on in adding candles to my product list. I got one of their candle making kits, which was, I think it made me one large candle, but it was just an introduction to the process of making a candle. And that was really nice because I think it was, I don't know, it was maybe $40 or $50 instead of investing in all of the ingredients and stuff that you need, all of the supplies you need. it was like a nice little introductory. So that's definitely a pro if you're looking at them. Some of the pros for me though, and where I'm at in my business with Makesy would definitely be the quality of their products. I think their fragrance oil, I think they're doing the best fragrance oil on the market personally. It's just, it smells more, aside from people who are like creating their own fragrance oils, custom, that sort of thing. But like if you're looking for a pre-made fragrance oil, I think Makesy is the best there is. Not only do they have really high-end smelling fragrances, but they're extremely consistent. Like a lot of what I smell from them, it smells expensive. You know, I get a lot of sample kits. You can buy like a fragrance discovery kit where it's like, I don't know, like 10 little samples of things that are lumped together by theme. So maybe it's like citrus sample or whatever. And even if I don't end up using all of them, they're still, when I smell them all, it's like they all smell great. They're not all something that's like right for me and my brand, but I just am always blown away by the quality of their fragrances. The quality of their packaging is also really great. So their candle vessels, their sort of additionals, I don't really know how to describe them, but their skincare packaging, like little bottles with pump tops or oil droppers, their lip balm tins, all really great stuff. It's probably, in my experience, the most accessible high-end packaging that I've been able to find thus far. So if you are looking to start a luxury brand, whether that's soap, skincare, candles, whatever, the quality of their packaging will allow you to create that luxe looking brand. Another pro for Makesy is I think they're just very ahead of a lot of other suppliers in terms of aesthetic trends and what is emerging in different industries and being able to offer that to you. A lot of other suppliers, I feel like what they offer is perfectly fine, but it's sort of basic. And I don't mean like basic, like pumpkin spice latte basic. I just mean they're not setting any trends. I feel like they're really just offering you something that will get you by, but is maybe not ahead of like your competitors. And one of the other pros that I love with Makesy is that they do offer free shipping when you have an order over $100. I think, I'm pretty sure it's $100, but at some point you get free shipping. At this point in my business, I'm always over $100 when I buy from them. And even if I have to buy something small, there's enough of their products that I use that I could just add on extra of something that I will need eventually to hit over $100 to get that free shipping. So that I really like. Very few suppliers have a free shipping option, and it's just really nice to have that from at least one of your suppliers. One of the biggest cons for Makesy, and again, I think it's fair. I understand why it is this way, but it is still it's prohibitive for using them for a lot of makers, especially new businesses, but that is their price point. Like I said, they are creating packaging and fragrance that smells very high end, and the price point reflects that. So again, I think it's fair. I believe that what they're offering is at the value that they charge for it. But whether or not that's true, if you are early on in your business, or if you're in a market where the price point you need to charge in order to make that cost of goods make sense is just too high, which for me, I sort of feel like was the case, you just won't be able to buy a lot of their stuff. So a lot of their candle vessels, I just love. They're great. They're doing great candle vessels. I love their tins. They're sort of like seamless tin with the lid. It's just beautiful. I really love the way it looks, but the price point is not something that I can work into the price point that I need to be at for my target audience. So it's just not an option. And that is a bummer because I want my products to look as good as possible, but you also have to be realistic and you are running a business. You can't have something that it cuts in on your margins as much as it would to have the price point of some of their stuff. So I feel that way about their lip balm containers as well. They have these really beautiful like glass lip balm. I can't think of the word, but like it's not a tin, but it's like the shape of a tin with like a bamboo lid. And it's so cute. It would look so pretty, but it's just too expensive. Like I like being able to keep my lip balm at the price that it's at because it makes it like a no-brainer purchase for people. Maybe your goal is to be a high-end company and you have the audience to support that, or you have investors that you're working with, whatever, that go nuts. That's awesome. Congrats on whatever got you there. But I think for a lot of us, it's just not an option. And so I would definitely list that as a con. Another con with Makesy is the shipping time. Although they offer free shipping over a certain price point, I do just feel like it takes a while to get their products. So when I notice sort of last minute, which is again my own responsibility, it's not necessarily Makesy's fault that I realize too late that I need more fragrance oil or something, but it is frustrating to know that I'm just going to be waiting a little bit longer. It's also hard for me if I'm fulfilling a wholesale order and I'm low on something. It's just, again, it's not enough to make me not use a ton of their products, but it is something to keep in mind. It just really what it means is that I have to be more vigilant on my end because I know it's going to take a while to show up. Whereas I have some other suppliers where I can be a little less stressed about how long it'll take for something to get there, which is helpful for me just in terms of like an overall stress level. That's always nice. And then one other con, and I don't really know what this is a function of. I don't understand how a business like this works, like Makesy or any of these suppliers, but I do feel like sometimes availability is an issue with Makesy. So I talked in my how to make your own perfume video about how I had finally found the perfume roller I wanted to use from Makesy. It was beautiful, it was perfect, everything I needed. And then when I went to reorder enough to make my perfumes, they were sold out. And that does sometimes happen with Makesy, especially with new products that they're introducing. Again, I'm sure that this is something they have to do because it's new. They don't know what demand is going to be. They don't want to overextend themselves buying a bunch of new supplies that people might not be interested in. But I also find that this happens with some of their more popular fragrance oils. If you're using a fragrance oil that is seasonal and it's within that season and you run out and realize you need more, you might not be able to get more, or the only size you can get is like significantly larger and probably maybe out of your price range for a single purchase. So that's just something that I've sort of noticed is, again, another reason to sort of like stay ahead of things. And now that I'm at a place in my business where I will be repeating seasonal fragrances, it's easier for me to buy them way ahead of their popular season. But it's still, I don't know, it's just like something to keep in mind because that sucks when you feel like you've found a fragrance that you love or packaging that you love and then you can't get it and you have to make a change and start the whole process over again. It just really sucks. So it is something I've noticed with them, something to keep in mind. Okay, on to my next supplier. That first one took longer than I thought. My next supplier is Candle Science, another great supplier, especially if you're a candle maker. Obviously, it's in the name. They have a niche, clearly. They do offer some products that are related to other product types. So their fragrances, some of them can be used in soap. I do think that they make a note if it should not be used in soap on the website. I'm not 100% sure, but something to just keep in mind that their fragrances are primarily for candles. So if you're a soap maker or other products, just keep that in mind. One of the really big pros of Candle Science is honestly like incredibly fast shipping. So I do find that when I have to order, I get my wax from them. I use 464 soy wax and I get it from Candle Science and it comes so fast, which again is one of those things where sometimes occasionally I'm behind on ordering and it's like, oh my God, I need wax really, really quickly. That's not something I can wait like a week or a week and a half on. And they get it to you sometimes like the next day. It's very fast shipping. Really appreciate that. Another pro of theirs, it's such a small thing, but I really enjoy this. I feel like more businesses should do this because it's, again, I don't even really think it benefits me as much as it feels like it benefits me, but it's really enjoyable. And that is, instead of offering free shipping over a certain price, you get a free fragrance sample. And they have a very big selection of fragrances. And I love that, like, I have to order wax from them. It's going to happen. I always hit the spending mark when I'm ordering wax, and I get a free fragrance sample every time. And that it's just like a really nice way for me to pick maybe fragrances that I wouldn't necessarily because it's free. So I feel like, oh, whatever. And I've gotten some good sample fragrances from them that I've then used on other things. So I really enjoy that. Like I said, it's a small thing. It doesn't really affect my business, but I really enjoy it. And another thing with Candle Science, same with Macy, is I feel like their quality is really good. I get some of my candle vessels from them, and they're really good quality vessels. I think that their fragrance oils are hit or miss for me. In fact, that's one of my cons, is that some of their fragrance oils I think are great, and then some of them just smell, I think, just not great. Like they smell cheap. They're not great. And there's not a good way of knowing. I read reviews, there's no real way to tell, and that's why I like the free sample, is that, like I said, I've gotten some good ones from them, and I've gotten some that it's like, oh, that is awful. I'm so glad I did not buy a larger size of that. And so, it's, like I said, hit or miss, kind of a con. If you find ones that you love, their price point is really good. I think that it's really fair pricing, and like I said, shipping is really fast. So I think it's a great company to work with. You just have to be sort of discerning about which fragrance oils you're working with. Another con for them, although their shipping is fast, it is very expensive. Their shipping, I think they have like an East Coast shipping location and a West Coast shipping location. And so you should probably tweak, especially like I'm in the middle of the country, so I don't necessarily know which one is going to cost more for me. Usually I go with East Coast, but it's very pricey. You really have to, when you're calculating your cost of goods, especially if you haven't actually made any purchases yet and you're figuring out what your price point is going to be for your products, put like whatever you would order from them, put a box of wax in your cart, calculate shipping as if you're going to check out, and find out what that actual total is for buying wax from them, from buying containers from them, because they list the like per container price on the page for that item, but that's not actually what it is, because their shipping is high enough that it really adds to that bottom line of what your cost is for a container. So just make sure that you're being really, really detail oriented with like what the cost of an individual item is from them, and including the high shipping costs. Another supplier I use, Amazon. Like, it's just so easy. That's absolutely the biggest pro for using Amazon for some of this stuff, is the convenience is just, you can't beat the convenience. I know I have mixed feelings about contributing to Amazon. They're kind of ruining the world in some ways, but I'm also trying to run a small business, and sometimes you need that convenience and that like guaranteed free shipping, fast shipping. Really, really great on those fronts. Obviously, the other nice thing about Amazon is that there is a very large selection. Sometimes that's also a con because there's a lot to sort through, but in general, I find that being able to search a sort of broad topic and have so many listings, if you have the time to sort through all of those different things, it is definitely a benefit because it just gives you a lot of options, gives you a lot of variety to work with. Some of the cons, I think, with Amazon, obviously like convenience, main pro, selection, big pro as well. Cons are it's really hard to verify quality without ordering something and seeing it firsthand, which you should do anyway, but it's just like, I feel like with Amazon, there's been a lot of times where I've ordered something and it's like, oh, this is terrible. This is not worth my money. I have to return it. It's just a lot of extra legwork and is kind of a pain, especially when you're maybe on a time crunch to figure something out. That's a bummer. Another thing that's tough about Amazon that I have found with the things that I order from them especially with like packaging. So my lip balm tins are from Amazon. And first of all, I can only order 5 of them at a time. I'm not sure why. Like, even if I place an order and then go back and place another order of 5, it'll let me, but I can still only do 5 at a time. It's just kind of a pain. And eventually, if I'm getting to a point where I'm producing really high quantities, it's just not going to be an option. It's super annoying. But it's just another thing that you like have to stay on top of. I have to be really mindful of where my supply is at of these lip balm tins, and then go back and order 5 more or 10 more, multiple times. And it's just, I don't know, it's just kind of a pain. And sometimes I was originally getting my candle tins from Amazon and then went back one day with no warning and they just weren't available. And that happens a lot on Amazon. Not so much that you can't order some stuff from there, but it happens more than it does with other suppliers, where it's like either just the listing is gone or you can't find the listing again. Maybe it's been renamed or whatever, or they're just sold out and there's no estimate for when it'll be back in stock. And again, it's like one of those panicky things where if you've already taken product photos and like figured out price points and all of that for a certain uh, item, and now it's unavailable, it's just really frustrating. And so I sort of pick and choose what I get from Amazon. I do get some ingredients from Amazon. I get like bulk baking soda, bulk citric acid, like a lot of my um, shower steamer ingredients, because I can get them really large quantities and quickly. I do like that, and I think the price point is good. But yeah, for a lot of packaging stuff, I would say be super cautious about availability and how don't like put all your eggs in that basket, because it very much, that listing might just disappear. Another major one that I use is Brambleberry, another industry leader. They do great educational content on YouTube and social media, so I'm sure people are familiar with them if you've done even a little bit of research into getting supplies for a soap or candle company. I really love Brambleberry. I use them for a bunch of stuff too. I think it's a very well-run company, and yeah, it's absolutely reliable for sure. Again, the pros for Brambleberry, aside from just it's a well-made, well done, well-managed brand, I guess I should say. Um, I think they have a ton of variety in sort of all areas, like the categories of stuff they supply, lots of options. They have a ton of fragrance oils. I feel like their fragrance oils are, for the most part, very good. It's not as hit or miss as I feel like Candle Science is. There are still some thumbs down fragrances from Brambleberry, at least in my experience. And I very much get a bunch of little tiny trial sizes before I buy any full size anything. But I use a bunch of their fragrances and I think they're really good. And just like high quality. The other thing I love that Brambleberry does better than anyone, in my opinion, if you are a soap maker, Brambleberry gives the best information on how a fragrance oil performs in soap. Not only around like potential discoloration, they give a like sample for what each fragrance oil looks like in soap, which is amazing. But also just like any ricing, any acceleration, a lot of that stuff, what it's recommended for. I feel like the information they offer you on the page for a fragrance oil is just, it's better than anybody else. And I don't know if that's because the woman who founded the company was a soap maker first. Like, I just feel like if you are a soap maker, Brambleberry is especially a very reliable resource. Their tutorials are great, like ton of information from Brambleberry for free. That's just really, really good. Some of the cons with Brambleberry, similar to some of the other ones I've mentioned, shipping costs. There's no free shipping from them. Even if you're getting something very small, it's like their base shipping cost is $8.50, and then it goes up from there. And so it's another one of those things where if you're buying ingredients or fragrance oils, whatever, make sure that you're factoring in the shipping cost into the like per ounce cost of that item, because I do feel like it really adds up. And I understand, I'm sure that shipping is such a beast for these companies. They're shipping out really heavy items all the time. It's a big deal, but just as a buyer, this is kind of frustrating. And their shipping times are not super quick. You can pay more for faster shipping with any of these, really, but when shipping is already expensive, I'm definitely not paying more to get it in 2 days because it goes up significantly. So again, it's one of those where make sure that you're not letting your supplies get too low before you need to order, because it just takes a little while to get from them. So again, it's not enough of a con to make me not buy from them. It's just like one of those things that I'd want to know if I were starting my relationship with a new supplier. And those are really the 4 main suppliers that I work with. I get multiple items from each of these suppliers. I always have like one-off suppliers that I use for like very specific things, but I don't really feel like it's worth going into the pros and cons of those. At some point, I'm sure I'll be able to give you guys like a full list of everyone I work with and why I work with them. But for now, I hope that this is helpful. I ended up talking about this stuff a lot longer than I meant to, but I think that's good. This is the kind of information, again, that I wish that I had had starting off and even further into my business, deciding who to work with. So hopefully this was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me reach other viewers like you. And if you want to get notified every time I post a new video, click the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.